Okay, hey everyone, we're going to dive right into this today. Um, just allow the Holy Spirit to speak. I was reading in John chapter 13 this morning, and something stood out to me. So, this is the context here. It's the Last Supper. Jesus is in the upper room with his disciples, and he does something to show them. This is verse 1 of John 13, verse 1. Show them the full extent of his love. He gets down on his knees. This is the King of Kings, the supreme authority in all the universe. Ephesians chapter 1 speaks about Jesus being above all powers, all dominions, all authorities. Gets down on his knees and he humbly washes the feet of his disciples. And he says, I have set for you an example that you should do as I have done, in verse 15. So, some people have coined the phrase servant leadership, where Jesus exercises the authority power that he has on behalf of his followers rather than demanding that his followers serve him. Well, what's interesting is that right after this, he says, one of you guys is going to betray me. And of course, the disciples didn't know who that was going to be. So Judas was able to mask his heart and his actions. We know that he was pilfering money from the money bag, which he was in charge of. And for some reason, he was so good at what he was doing, and he seemed like every other follower, that no one suspected that Judas was going to be the one that was going to betray him. Even after Jesus said, it's going to be the one who I give this bread to once I dip it in the wine. And of course, he gives it to Judas. But verse 27 of chapter 13 says, as soon as Judas took the bread, Satan entered into him, which I take literally, which means that Satan was in the room for the previous demonstration and teaching by Jesus, which was on servant leadership. So can you imagine Satan standing in the corner, preparing to take advantage of the situation? Jesus knows that he's there. Maybe he's not felt by anyone else, okay? But Jesus knows he's there, standing in the room, and he's rolling his eyes in disgust as he watches Jesus do what he would never dream of doing, which is get on his knees and sacrificially love, sacrificially serve his followers. Now, as soon as I was done reading this, this is really a contrast between servant leadership from Jesus' perspective and abusive leadership, which would represent Satan. But as soon as I was done reading this, look what I read this morning in another book of mine. I usually try to read a chapter or two, a couple pages in various other books, and I just so happened to pick up and read another page or two in this book. And I want to read a paragraph here. There are two kinds of leaders: those who use people for their own interests, and those who sacrifice themselves for the interests of the people. The former denotes the nature of worldly authority, the later, godly authority. Pharaoh allowed his country to be destroyed while striving to preserve his power over the Jews. In Moses, we have a striking contrast to Pharaoh's self-centeredness and a wonderful example of kingdom authority. As Israel continually resisted and rejected him, Moses so loved and identified with these people that he even offered his own life to appease God's wrath on them. Such is the nature of all who are truly exercising authority in the Spirit of Jesus. And that's certainly true here. Jesus laid down his life for his followers. He was their servant. And I thought this paragraph did a great job. This is in the book, There Were Two Trees in the Garden by Rick Joyner. And this paragraph was a wonderful contrast between worldly authority and godly authority, between Moses exercising godly authority and Pharaoh exercising worldly authority. And of course, both of them derive their inspiration from both Jesus and Satan. Pharaoh representing Satan, and Moses, who was called the most humble man on the face of the earth, deriving his inspiration from Jesus himself and being a picture of Christ in the Old Testament. So Thought this would be of interest to you this morning. Again, John chapter 13, you can read over that. Satan is standing in the room. He's watching Jesus. There's a contrast between how authority is exercised. Satan for himself, Jesus on behalf of others. The question is, as we look at our political leaders, as we even consider our leadership in various areas and realms of life, which person, which Jesus or Satan, which one do we model? Which one do we follow as an example more closely? Should be convicting for all of us and something definitely to consider. All right, God bless. Till next time.